Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're getting into something really practical in the SAP world, getting data into the system.
Specifically, the LSMW, the Legacy System Migration Workbench.
Right. And we're focusing on one particular way it works, the recording method. We want to figure out how LSMW, learns to automate loading data.
Exactly. Our guide for this is a helpful piece by Mikkel Quesnot. It breaks down these LSMW recordings.
And the core question is, how does LSMW know which screens to go to? Or, which boxes to fill in, what buttons to click for a specific SAP transaction?
The answer, it's all in these recordings.
Okay, so maybe an analogy helps. Is it like recording a macro in Excel?
That's a great way to put it. Or,
Yeah.
like showing a robot how to do a task by guiding its hand just once.
So what is an LSMW recording then?
Well, it's essentially a captured playback of you manually doing an SAP transaction.
Like if I use MM01 to create a material, or maybe FB60 for an invoice?
Precisely. You do that transaction step by step while LSMW is in its recording mode. It's literally watching you.
Watching what exactly? What does it capture?
It gets really detailed. It captures the specific screens you navigate through,
Okay.
the exact fields where you enter data, and the actions like hitting enter or clicking the save button, everything.
Wow. Okay, so it's a full recording of the interaction.
Yeah, a complete log.
And then how is that recording actually used by LSMW later?
So that recording becomes the blueprint, the template for the automation.
Right, it shows LSMW the exact path to take.
Exactly. And then later when you have your actual data, say, in a spreadsheet, you map the columns from your file to those fields LSMW saw you use in the recording.
So you'd say, okay, LSMW, take the data from this material description column in my file.
And put it into this specific field that I typed into when I made the recording. Then maybe click this button I clicked.
Got it. So that's how it automates things. You avoid typing the same stuff over and over.
Absolutely. This is fundamental for the batch input method within LSMW. It turns that manual grind into a repeatable technical sequence.
Which must save a ton of time, especially with large data loads.
Oh, definitely. Think about loading thousands of records, materials, vendors, whatever. It's a lifesaver.
So how do you actually create one of these recordings? The source mentioned some steps.
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward to start. In the main LSMW screen, you navigate through the menus, go to, then recording.
Okay, go to Risk Recordings.
Then you choose recording again and create recording. A little box pops up.
For naming it, I assume?
Right. Give it a clear name, a description, and importantly, recordings are tied to a specific LSMW project.
Good to remember. What's next?
Then you tell it which transaction code you want to record. Like MM01 or FB60, as we mentioned.
And then you just run it.
Yep. You run the transaction just like you normally would, manually entering some sample data.
Sample data. But you mentioned it captures everything.
Ah, good point. And this is critical. It's not a simulation. When you record, you are actually posting data in your SAP system.
Oh, okay. So be careful what you type in. Don't create junk data.
Exactly. The data you enter during the recording is just placeholder data, really. It shows LSMW where things go. That data will be replaced by your file data during the actual run.
Right. Makes sense. Anything else to watch out for during recording?
Well, the source notes that you're basically setting the screen sequence and the number of items right there in the recording. You can't really use variables at that point.
So if you're loading invoice items, you record adding, say, 3 lines, and it expects 3 lines.
Kind of. The structure needs to be pretty flat for a single recording. No complex header item stuff with varying numbers of items within one recording pass.
Okay, so simple, predictable structures work best for one recording.
Yeah, but the source does say you can assign multiple recordings to one LSMW object if things get more complex.
Is there any other way to do this besides recording directly in LSMW?
There is. A bit more technical, but you can use transaction SHDB, the transaction recorder.
SHDB.
Yeah. You record there, then you can actually generate an ABAP program from that recording.
And then use that program in LSMW.
You got it. You might need to tweak the program a bit, but then you register it for use in LSMW. It's an alternative path.
Interesting. And what if you mess up the recording slightly? Do you have to start over?
Not necessarily. You can edit recordings after you've made them.
Oh, good. How?
You can go back in and delete fields you accidentally clicked on, or maybe even add fields if needed. The source also mentions you can add documentation right into the recording itself.
Always helpful for the next person, or even yourself later.
Definitely. Good practice.
So wrapping this up then, LSMW recordings are essentially a direct way to teach the tool. You show it how to perform an SAP transaction once.
And it can then repeat those exact steps automatically using the data you provide in a file.
Transforming a slow, manual task into something much faster and automated.
That's the core benefit, huge efficiency gain, especially for big migration projects.
It really makes you think, though, considering how detailed these recordings are, capturing clicks, fields, sequences, what other routine business processes, maybe even outside SAP, could be automated if we could just teach a system by showing it once like this?
That's a fascinating question. It opens up possibilities for automation beyond just data loads, doesn't it? Something to chew on.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're getting into something really practical in the SAP world, getting data into the system.
Specifically, the LSMW, the Legacy System Migration Workbench.
Right. And we're focusing on one particular way it works, the recording method. We want to figure out how LSMW, learns to automate loading data.
Exactly.